Madam President, I rise to speak about the devastating impact that gun violence has on our families and our communities across America. Every day in America, we have a staggering amount of gun violence. On average, 297 people are shot in America each day. 89 of them die. On a typical day, there are 31 murders and 55 suicides by gun, as well as several accidental shootings. And every day, on average, 151 Americans are shot and wounded in an assault, and 45 are accidentally shot but survive. We have had over 350 mass shootings in America just this year, meaning incidents where at least 4 people are shot. And we have had over 50 incidents this year where guns have been fired at a school. 50 at a school. These statistics are sobering and a call to action. Most shootings in America have become so routine, they don't even make the news. Sadly, many Americans believe that this staggering level of violence is just normal day in America. But in recent weeks, horrific mass shootings at a Planned Parenthood office in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and a holiday party in San Bernardino have brought the issue of gun violence back into the forefront. After high-profile mass shootings, we often hear the gun lobby and their political allies say any effort to pass a new gun law is just politicizing a tragedy. They say we don't need any new gun laws. What we really should do is enforce the laws on the books. We saw this dynamic play out just last week. The day after the San Bernardino shooting, the vast majority of Senate Democrats voted for an amendment by Senator Feinstein to close the loophole that lets suspected terrorists buy firearms in America. The vast majority of Senate Republicans voted no. Senate Democrats also voted overwhelmingly for a bipartisan amendment offered by Senators Manchin and Toomey. This amendment would close the loopholes that allow guns to be sold without background checks, either on the internet or at gun shows. Again, the Senate Republicans overwhelmingly voted against a background check to keep firearms out of the hands of convicted felons and mentally unstable people. Make no mistake, the whole world saw what happened last week in San Bernardino, and the whole world now knows that people who want to commit acts of mass violence or terror in the United States, sadly, have easy access to an arsenal of guns. There are major loopholes in the laws on the books. This is a serious vulnerability, and Americans know we need to address it. The risk of terrorist-inspired mass shootings like Paris has never been higher. What are the most effective ways to guard against this vulnerability? Well, I thought those 2 amendments we considered last week were a good start. Won't we agree, even those who own guns, value them, use them for sport, hunting, or self-defense, won't we agree that keeping guns out of the hands of convicted felons and mentally unstable people is the starting point? I think we should. You know, they did a review of the crime guns that were seized at the highest crime areas in the city of Chicago. And Madam President, they found out that 40% of the guns used in the commission of crime in some of the deadliest precincts of Chicago came from Northwest Indiana gun shows. Why? Well, because you don't go through a background check if you buy from certain people at a gun show. So the thugs, the drug gangs, the drive-by shooters, all they have to do is just take the skyway over the border into Indiana, go to one of these gun shows, fill up their trunks with guns and firearms and ammunition, and drive back for a killing spree in Chicago. No background checks. No background checks. Does that make sense? And when they say, well, you know, it's a shame they have so much gun violence in Chicago because you know they have some of the strictest laws on the books. Well, those strict laws don't apply when you cross the line into Indiana. And sadly, those strict laws don't apply as they should across the United States. So we called the amendment on the floor. Bipartisan amendment, Patrick Toomey of Pennsylvania, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, neither one of them liberal by self-definition, have come forward and said, as Joe Manchin said, I learned a long time ago. If you want to own a gun in West Virginia, in my family, you didn't sell it to a stranger, you didn't sell it to a criminal, and you certainly didn't sell it to someone who was mentally unstable. He said, that's just common sense. Well, it's common sense that escaped the support and attention of the Senate Republicans. They voted against that provision overwhelmingly, against background checks to keep firearms out of the hands of convicted felons and those who are mentally unstable. How would you explain that?